Blending your indoor and outdoor living space just got a little more interesting. Joining us now to talk about that is Joanne Hussey from Vista One Retractable Screens. All right, now I got in contact with you after I bought a patio door because we put in an extension. And I was so surprised to find out that patio doors don't come with screens. One would think that would be an obvious thing, but that's not the case. It's two different industries.
It is indeed, yes. Yeah.
So why?
I guess probably because there's a certain speciality in manufacturing and attaching retractable screens to doors. And door companies sort of focus on their core competency, which is manufacturing and selling doors. And because of that, I think in the creation of the retractable screen industry in and of itself, the retractable screen manufacturers are specialists in manufacturing retractable screens, and door manufacturers just manufacture doors.
So my question is, because I don't have one, what is a retractable screen?
So a retractable screen is a screen that retracts out of sight when you don't need it. So it's affixed to the frame of your door, and you simply engage the screen to keep out bugs and insects in the summer. And in the winter, or when you're not using it, you just flip a switch and the whole thing will slide out of the way.
How is that different from a normal screen? Because you could push a normal screen out of the way.
A normal screen stays in place the entire time on the frame of your door. And for a double door, for example, you wouldn't be able to use
part of it,
both doors at the same time. So this technology, or these screens, our screens in particular, we have a single unit that will span an entire 5 or 6 foot wide door. So it's very convenient. You can open up both doors. You'll have a clear view to your outside. There'll be no screen in the middle where typically two screens would join together. We are able to avoid all of that and finish the product in a single screen
And
unit.
it matched perfectly with the doors. We had like the
color.
The color was perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, it was an absolute brilliant match.
We are committed to matching color specifically with the door product that you've purchased, not offering you a shade of brown or a shade of green that might almost fit but is obviously different.
Well, the reason I like the retractable is as well as it completely disappearing, as you said, on the double doors, because if I just wanted to have my double doors completely open, even if I slid one of the screens over to the other side, there's still the screen that's fixed there. But also, when I'm not worried about it, it disappears. So you get an absolutely crisp, clear view to outside.
Correct. Yeah.
So that makes a big difference as well. But then it got more complicated because there was two different types of mesh to choose from. One, what I would consider the traditional flat mesh, but the one I ended up getting is actually pleated.
Correct.
Explain the benefits of that.
The pleated mesh allows us to span that 5 and 6 foot width. If it were a traditional flat screen, you would probably only go a maximum of 3.5 feet.
Right.
And so we would need 2 units on the same door to give you that double door opening. The pleated mesh is really, it's a very convenient mesh to use. It allows you to stop the screen in the middle of your doorway, so you can just open it 2 or 3 feet, so you can use it as an entry point without having the entire thing retract out of the way. It's decorative, and it's incredibly easy to use for people of all ages.
And it was recommended because of your
It was
dog.
recommended because of my dog. They said it had a little bit more give in it. I mean, obviously not if the dog goes squirrel and like runs full speed,
yeah.
but there is a bit of push
Correct.
to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that
it
you
has
can...
some flexibility, and because the pleats are obviously there, it's not as tight or as taut against the door as a traditional flat screen might be.
Now, this is your company sourced the creators, the inventors, the designs from Japan, I believe.
Correct. It's Japanese technology.
Japanese technology. And they, because there's also two different types of latches. The one I have where I just move it by the hand, or you can actually have one where you literally just flick a button and it just
That's
disappears.
correct. That's a self-retracting screen, and your screen is the manual retracting pleated model. So in a self-retracting screen, you just lift the button and the mesh rolls into the housing.
But now people think, and I thought, and I don't want to get into because everybody's door frame is probably slightly different, but I honestly, it was about, your prices were about half of what I was expecting them to be? I mean, I had, there's another company that we hear a lot about, and I had it priced with them, and your product to me actually looked better and was far more reasonable. I mean, how much competition is there in this business?
Oh, in the last 20 years, certainly there's been more and more players in the market. But for our product line, there really isn't a lot of competition in terms of offering pleated mesh and a single screen that can span a double width and all that, advanced technology and innovation. There were a few main players, but I would say in the Toronto area, there's maybe 3 or 4 different companies that offer installation services and retractable screens.
Now, you go to the house. If anybody's curious, you will go to their home. And,
Absolutely, yes.
And that's free?
Yes, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, we'll go to the consumer's home, measure the door, offer a quotation, answer any questions, match color, and sort of walk them through the history and, the differentiation between our product and anybody else's.
So my door was new. Christine, if she decides to get one on her patio door, it's an older.
That's fine.
That's no problem. You can still match.
Yes.
Match to that.
Yeah.
Is there any
It's white, so
perfect.
There you go.
There you go.
So, and you can do this with any sort of opening. It doesn't have to literally be a door. Could you put the rolling screens into windows?
We do get a call for windows. We can also add a plated screen into windows, and we do get a lot of call for people who are sort of doing their own sort of, what's the word I want to use, like almost like a gazebo or a backyard deck. They want to kind of screen in certain areas. And we are able to come in and do an extra wide single screen, and they're able to.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You could have your outdoor gazebo, and then you wouldn't have to have the screens there. Like permanently, you could have sort of different sections and just roll and open them out.
Yeah. And you're only using
really
that.
Nice.
I mean, the advantage there, instead of having like fixed screens in the frame, obviously, is that you don't need the mesh intact throughout the day for the most part. It's really an evening problem
or
where
the cottage,
mosquitoes
the veranda,
are coming,
the
exactly,
cottage,
verandas
that would be...
and so on and so forth. You don't need the screen.
And how is the mechanism in the winter when it's cold?
Well, it's tucked out of the way in the winter. I mean, typically you wouldn't use your screen in the winter because we don't really need them here.
Probably on the outside, right?
Correct.
So it's still okay.
It's still fine.
I mean.
Yep.
So why your screens? I understand it are technologically and they're very innovative.
Correct.
So how so? What's the selling point here?
Two of the main advantages are on all of our screens. It wouldn't matter if it was a self-retracting screen or the manual retracting screen. I think the biggest innovation is the retracting mesh guide that's on the bottom that allows the mesh to retract and guide the mesh back and forth with the screen. And then all you're left with on your door threshold is a very thin little rail that allows that mesh guide to go back and forth. That is available in all of our screens, and I know you won't find it with any other products in the market here.
Because I have seen some where the screens are they either come out or they or they fold up not very neatly. They don't fold into the unit very well.
Right, and typically the bottom rail on most of our competitors' units would be a U channel where the mesh is running back and forth. And we've avoided that. And that is, I think, one of the more technically advanced options that we offer.
What is the lead time? If I wanted to get a screen now and I call you, what are we talking about? 2 weeks, a month?
Yeah, for white, typically 2 to 3 weeks. If we need a special color, we do have to coordinate with our painters. So that could take an extra week or 10 days. It would just depend on the color and, yeah.
All right. Well,
perfect.
Thank you very much, Joanne, for coming in and telling us. And again, it's Vista1Inc.com. Vista1Inc.com. And I'm loving the door. And in time, no bugs yet, but I can't wait for them to come.
Thank you.
Well, she said